Hello, I am Xarkun, and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, I've got a capture the base mode battle for you on the map Estuary, and we are in the Positively Evil Tier 4 Premium Japanese Destroyer Kamikaze, which has to be one of the most overpowered ships in the game at its tier. It is positively wicked. And I wish I could tell you that this game was going to be a positively wicked game. And I suppose, in some sense, I could. If you're familiar with the Mighty Jingles, who makes videos for World of Warships over on the PC, you might know that he has a certain theory that applies to World of Warships and, of course, to its console version, World of Warships Legends. The theory is that when your team is minutes away from victory, and all they have to do in order to secure victory is absolutely nothing, what they tend to do instead is win harder. And this match shows perhaps one of the most infuriating attempts at winning harder that I have ever witnessed in this game. And frankly, I'm still a little bit irritated about it. Fortunately, there's some time between now and the moment where it becomes evident that my team is going to try to win harder. And maybe I'll use that time to cool down. I'll certainly use it to talk about what I'm doing. Basically, we spawned in the center. There were 2 destroyers on the eastern side and only 1 on this western side, so I figured I would come over here to support him. And of course, I'm instantly spotted by the enemy Kamikaze, who I'm sure is turning that way in an attempt to torpedo me. He does shoot his guns, but 2 of my torpedoes actually hit him, and somehow managed not to sink him. So he smokes up, I drop smoke, we're still within 2 kilometers of each other, so we're spotted, but as soon as I get outside of the 2 kilometer guaranteed spotting range, all is well, and we go dark. Unfortunately, so does he. I launch one more spread of 2 torpedoes toward his last known location, hoping that they will hit, but of course they will not. That enemy Kamikaze does manage to take out the friendly Texas there, which, you know, it's putting things off to not so great of a start. We've already lost a cruiser and a battleship, and the enemy team has only lost a single destroyer. I am bound and determined to increase their losses to 2 destroyers. So, heading back toward where the enemy Kamikaze is smoked up. As soon as I do that, one of the other enemy destroyers enters the base, which is not great. Enemy Kamikaze appears and doesn't die. So that's fine. We've got another gun in the front. Just swing around, get that on target. No. Okay, third time's a charm there. He goes down for our first kill of the game. We take some shots from the enemy Wyoming, and the enemy destroyer who was capping the base exits the cap to chase after a cruiser and I think a battleship, maybe 2 cruisers. Either way, definitely not a great choice on his part. I'm pretty sure my teammates there are going to kill him. The Hawkins, however, has entered the base, and it looks like he's slowing down. Seems like he wants to reverse in order to get his guns on my teammates there. But, unfortunately for him, reversing is probably the worst choice he could have made. Those torpedoes look like they are very much on target, and how many is it going to take to sink the Hawkins? 1, 2, 3. 3 torpedoes. Devastating strike. He goes down for our second kill of the game. At this point, even though I have lost about half of my hit points, you might be thinking to yourself, Xarkun, you are a dirty seal clubber, and you deserve whatever misfortunes befall you in this game. And to that I would say, sure, fine, you've got a point. However, this was the game that I wanted to play in order to get the weekly promotion order for playing a Tier 4 premium ship. I wanted to get it done in one game. I took out the Kamikaze thinking it would be no problem, and I really started it with thinking it would be no problem at this point, because once again, an enemy destroyer was in our base, and once again, it left the base. I figured it was probably going to try to torpedo the battleship out there to the east, and so I figure I can get inside of the enemy base as long as I take out this Wyoming, and then I can start capping, and at that point, we will win. This Wyoming does not appear to have any inclination that a destroyer might be sneaking up on him, and he is 4.8 kilometers away from me. My detectability range is 4.4 kilometers, which basically should be illegal. Excuse the sound of a text alert there. That was not your phone, it was mine. Torpedoes on the Wyoming, very much on target. Yet another devastating strike, our third kill of the game. We're up to 76,000 damage, and our base is still uncontested. So we've got room to get inside the enemy base. Unfortunately for me, I'm about to meet my match here. I'm not the only one down at Tier 4 doing some seal clubbing. These two Giulio Cesares out here are in a division. When this game is over, the two of them combined will have sunk 6 of my teammates, which is precisely 2/3 of my team. They are absolutely going to carry this for their team, but my team is not, in fairness, going to make it that complicated for them. They, however, are making it complicated for me in terms of being able to land these torpedoes. This particular Giulio Cesare, he is dodging expertly, and it just goes to show what can happen when you sail around in a battleship and you refuse to travel in straight lines. Basically, good things can happen for you, and you can frustrate the crap out of the destroyer that is trying to torpedo you. Giulio Cesare dodges yet again, and he's getting uncomfortably close. Clearly, these two guys have no intention of letting me take their base, so I'm going to have to exit. Luckily, the bases on Estuary are positioned extremely close to each other, so it's just a short drive to the friendly base. I might have tarried a little bit too long, though. I do get spotted, so I have to drop the smoke, and I'm still spotted. So, yep, that means the enemy is Okaze, has eyes on me. Gonna take a shot at him. He's gonna go behind that island, which is lucky for me, because it makes me go dark. Those Giulio Cesares are both shooting the high explosive at me. They are out there for the kill. But the Izokaze is going to suicide against my teammates, like so many of his teammates before him. And at this point, we are 5 versus 2. There are 2 battleships and 3 destroyers on the opposite team left in this game, plus a cruiser and another battleship to boot. It is 5 versus 2. Surely, there is no way that the blue team could possibly screw this up, right? Right? Well, enter the friendly Borask, whose blue torpedoes you can see sailing across the screen right at one of the Giulio Cesares. This Borask is performing a suicide torpedo run, and, I wasn't able to hit this Giulio Cesare. So, as you can imagine, the suicidal destroyer on my team was only able to hit him with one. His suicide attempt has failed, and now he's got two, very much alive, Giulio Cesares shooting at him. Both of them, keep in mind, were shooting HE at me. It's likely they still have it loaded, and they have no problem removing the enemy Borask. Okay, so now it's 4 versus 2. Still 2 destroyers left. I, of course, am the kamikaze, and my teammate over there is an izokaze, which is very stealthy and very, very dangerous, as, I don't think I've ever featured it on my channel, but other channels have. If you've played it, it's gross at tier 3. So, there's absolutely no reason for this man to be firing his guns at the Giulio Cesares, but he does. Thankfully, he smokes up. I'm going to stay out of his smoke because I am spotting both of these battleships, and so long as I spot them, it might encourage my teammate to stay in his smoke. Furthermore, it might encourage the cruiser and the battleship who are still in our base to, hold back a little, stay behind island cover perhaps, get free damage on these Giulio Cesares and not put themselves at risk. But of course, why would they do that? Also, one of those Giulio Cesares does take down the friendly izokaze. I finally get a torp on one of those guys. Unfortunately, it's the last torp I'm going to land for the remainder of this battle. Actually, that's not true. I think I get one more hit. Unfortunately, none of them are fatal. Even so, we've lost both of the destroyers in suicidal attempts, and we're still ahead on points, so we still have every advantage, right? Well, enter the friendly, I think it's a Ishizuchi or Kongo, and I don't remember what the cruiser is, but they're both coming in hot. They're both firing at these Giulio Cesares, who both continue to fire high explosive. I'm not sure that the high explosive is the most effective choice on the part of this particular Italian Tier 4 battleship, but what do I know? Maybe these guys are experts. They are certainly experienced players. Nevertheless, I am going to land a single torpedo on one of them, and I was hoping that that torpedo, combined with the friendly battleship's firepower, would be enough to finish off at least one of them. It is an Ishizuchi, by the way, but boy, was I wrong. The Ishizuchi does fire an armor-piercing salvo into one of the Giulios, but it does not sink him. I'm launching more torpedoes desperately, knowing that I'm going to hit this island. I pop on the speed boost because I'm afraid that this particular flying monkeys guy might get super close to me and detect me, and I certainly don't want to be killed, because now all these Giulios have to shoot at is the friendly cruiser, and as you can well imagine, he's not going to stand up well to the firepower of 2 battleships, nor is he going to land any of those last-ditch torpedoes. In fact, the Giulio Cesares are going to take him down, and pretty much win the game for their team. They're already ahead on points, and they've just compounded their lead significantly by removing that friendly cruiser. Are his torpedoes going to take this particular Giulio out? Of course not. He's going to turn out of the way. This guy knows what he's doing. He is no potato. The same cannot be said for the rest of the players on either team of this match. This was just horrifically depressing, and I'm not, trying to insult any particular people on either game. You can see I was prompted to get on the mic after this and ask, what on earth happened, you guys? Why? Why did you try to win harder? There is no answer to that question. This is a phenomenon that will affect everybody from time to time. But in closing, some advice for you. If you are ahead on points, and you outnumber the enemy 5-2, and you have a destroyer who is spotting the enemy, and the enemy cannot spot you, maybe don't throw away your ships and lose the game. Don't try to win harder, you see, because there is such a thing as trying to win too hard. And you know what happens if you try to win too hard? You know what happens? I'll tell you what happens. You lose. As I fire my guns in frustration and the battle ends in defeat. Now I've got to play another tier 4 battle in this kamikaze. I hope it goes better than this did, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done that, and I will probably see you next time unless something like this happens again. Until then, goodbye.